We had, there's two that were really interesting. One of them, the guy, his friends asked if we could throw him overboard. I don't know if he got drunk on the ride up or whatever, and he slept, which was good because he's quiet. But then when he woke up, he wanted to talk on the radio, and like you can't just talk on the marine radio like you're making phone calls. So we asked him to stop and asked him to stop, and of course, we're fishing and catching fish and taking fish, we're busy in the cockpit, and sure enough, he's on the radio again. So we had to get him in, and so his friends, after like half an hour of this, his friends are like, can we throw him overboard and leave him? And we can't. The answer is we can't. But he kept that up for the rest of the ride. We had to have a babysitter watch him, and I to this day I don't know what he drank or what he was on. The worst one though was friends of ours that we love came out, and they had a friend from overseas, and our boat goes, I think when Gary's running, I don't know how fast he goes, but I go by RPMs, right? But so we're at running speed, and we hear this, hold up, and a guy had jumped overboard, and we're like, what this guy had done is he was from South Africa, and he was up here for the while, and wanted to go out and catch fish, and we were having a good day. But we're sitting around the gunnel, the boat's running, I don't know, 8-10 knots, and he wanted to know what it felt like, so he just rolled over backwards. And so now we're a charter company, we don't know.
That's a
this
good
guy.
way to get killed.
Yeah, and at least he went over the side and not the back. So Gary's like, that's it, that's the end of the charter, we're going in. I can't do this. And because we knew the people, Kyle talked him into, oh no, let's keep going, we'll keep going. And we're like, you got to keep your hands on this guy, you got to keep him in the boat. And they went through, they had a great day, and the guy did it again on the way back. And it was all they could do to get Gary to turn around and go get the guy the second time. Gary wanted to leave him there.
Sounds like an adventure. So how about we do the intro, and then we'll read Karen her rights and all this stuff.
Yeah, you guys got me kind of nervous here. Jim said, "Oh, you'll survive."
Well, one thing you have to know is Rob has this hand signal where he waves his hands like this or something like that if he's about to say something incriminating. So he cuts that part out.
Oh, okay.
So if there's
I'll watch for that.
If you want to say anything incriminating, wave your hands first, before and after, and he'll know to cut parts out.
Or just go clap, say it, clap again, and I know cut and cut.
Okay. We'll figure it out. Oh my gosh. What I get myself into.
Okay, well, listen, I'll read the intro. But thank you for joining us for Graybeards. It's my honor to introduce to you Karen, with over 3 decades of experience in the Oracle technical community. She's a businesswoman, technically brilliant Oracle ACE director, and I believe you're the president of ODTUG now this year, right? Is that correct?
Actually, I was conference chair. I was KEO, K-Scope Executive Officer.
Excellent. Yeah. Oops, I'm going to stop the share here.
Okay.
Anyway, she is an Apex aficionado, and you could tell us something about Apex, because I think Rob and I are probably not very up to date with Apex. I mean, I have some idea of what it is, but I think the point is you have left a mark on the Oracle technical landscape, and we very much appreciate you. You have books that you've co-authored, so that's a great thing. You have this fishing charter, I guess TH Technologies, that stands for Tuna Huntress. I think I was able to gather that from the public stuff. So TH Technologies, the president, and we may give Karen the new title after or during this meeting.
I do need a new title.
But please join me in giving Karen a warm welcome. Thank you.
Yay.
All right, Karen, I have to tell you, anything you say can and will be twisted to be used against you.
Okay. All right.
This is
Sounds good.
the internet. That's the internet. And Roger,
Well, we also have this this thing from the old movie or TV show years ago, and that is the names have been changed to protect the guilty. So you may remember
Okay.
that one. So if
All
you have any
righty.
more stories and you want to change the names, feel
I
free.
should change the names. Okay, I can do that. I can do that.
And what I
We have
typically
stories.
do is anything that could get one of us canceled, it's edited out.
Oh, thank
right.
you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. I'm usually the person who says something to get canceled. You've known me a long time, so.
Yeah, why does that not surprise me? But that's okay.
And so far, I
Yeah, we
haven't
do
said
have
anything
fun.
that Rob has had to edit out, so I'm pretty
Yeah,
safe.
Very good.
So-
Very good.
But thank you for joining us for Graybeards. It's my honor to introduce to you Karen, with over 3 decades of experience in the Oracle technical community. She's a businesswoman, technically brilliant Oracle ACE director, and I believe you're the president of ODTUG now this year, right? Is that correct?
Actually, I was conference chair. I was
Conference chair.
KEO,
Conference
K-Scope
chair.
Executive
Excellent.
Officer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oops, and I'm going to stop the share here.
Okay.
Anyway, she is an Apex aficionado, and you could tell us something about Apex, because I think Rob and I are probably not very up to date with Apex. I mean, I have some idea of what it is, but I think the point is you have left a mark on the Oracle technical landscape, and we very much appreciate you. You have books that you've co-authored, so that's a great thing. You have this fishing charter, I guess TH Technologies, that stands for Tuna Huntress. I think I was able to gather
Yes.
that from the public stuff. So TH Technologies, the president, and we may give Karen a new title after or during this meeting.
I do need a new title.
But
I can imagine. I can imagine.
I don't even remember what led up to it, but it was like one of those things. It's like, maybe not.
So
All right.
we were talking a little bit about some of the tuna hunting and so forth. I remember you telling us one time that occasionally you get these customers, I guess, that are a little rowdy or things like that. So I was curious about that. I remember hearing a story where you have to sort of like reel them in or reel them in.
Oh my gosh,
Or stop the
and
charter.
these people stand out. So we do fishing charters. We have up to 6 people coming on the boat every morning, 5 a.m. and we've never met most of them before, and most everybody is really awesome. But we had there's 2 that were really interesting. One of them, the guy, his friends asked if we could throw him overboard. I don't know if he got drunk on the ride up or whatever, and he slept, which was good because he's quiet. But then when he woke up, he wanted to talk on the radio, and like you can't just talk on the marine radio like you're making phone calls. So we asked him to stop and asked him to stop, and of course, we're fishing and catching fish and taking fish, we're busy in the cockpit, and sure enough, he's on the radio again. So we had to get him and so his friends, after like half an hour of this, his friends are like, can we throw him overboard and leave him? And we can't. The answer is we can't. But he kept that up for the rest of the ride. We had to have a babysitter watch him, and I to this day I don't know what he drank or what he was on. The worst one though was friends of ours that we love came out, and they had a friend from overseas, and our boat goes, I think when Gary's running I don't know how fast he goes, but I go by RPMs, right? But
Mhm.
so we're at running speed, and we hear this hold up, and a guy had jumped overboard, and we're like, what? What this guy had done is he was from South Africa, and he was up here for the while, and wanted to go out and catch fish, and we were having a good day. But we're sitting around the gunnel, the boat's running, I don't know, 10 knots. And he wanted to know what it felt like. So he just rolled over backwards. And so
I
now
must have saw
we're
that
a
on
charter
scene.
company. We don't know
That's a
this
good way
guy.
to get killed.
Yeah, and at least he went over the side and not the back. So Gary's like, that's it. That's the end of the charter. We're going in. I can't do this. And because we knew the people, Kyle talked him into, oh no, let's keep going. We'll keep going. And we're like, you got to keep your hands on this guy. You got to keep him in the boat. And they went through. They had a great day, and the guy did it again on the way back. And it was all they could do to get Gary to turn around and go get the guy the second time. Gary wanted to leave him there. And
The life has
so
to,
that's the worst. So
life has to go
literally
like
we
this.
had to go get this guy, and I think we should have dragged him behind the boat for a mile or so and then brought him in.
I
But
saw that
You
on
you
Mutiny
call
on the
that
Bounty. They keel hauled the captain, right?
yeah,
no, no
On
when
that
you
TV show.
when you tow them behind, you're trolling.
well it would have been fun. And now that was probably 5-6 years ago. Now we have more great whites in our area, so it'd be more
Mhm.
exciting trolling.
Oh yes.
More
Oh
exciting.
yes. Well,
Yeah, and actually we have, yeah.
we
Go
just
ahead.
got back from Alaska. First day out, we caught our limit.
Oh, cool. Now salmon
Uh,
or halibut?
salmon and rockfish.
Cool.
We weren't going for halibut. Because just for the
Not
hell
as
of it.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, some people get my puns, others don't.
I know that one.
Yeah. And I didn't realize how hard salmon fight
Yeah.
and how stupid rockfish are. But it was amazing about Alaska. We're going, well, how are we going to get this 30 pounds of fish home? And they go, oh no, you just go up to the fish processing plant here. They'll, fillet it, wrap it, put it in a cooler, come back the next day, and it's all in the box. And then you take it to the airport, and they're so used to it. It's like, oh, it's your checked luggage. So
We had someone just today ask if we had that, and we don't around here. So the regulations right now, the tuna hunter, Gary's passion, and if you ever do it, you guys should come and do it sometime. And you get one of
when
these
are you
giant
going to
bluefin.
invite us? We can have an
Anytime in
Oracle
September.
Ace
September.
event.
Yep, give me
All
a
right.
call first in September, because
Okay.
any day that we don't have a charter is a commercial day, and we always need extra bodies to reel. So, so the regulations are, if the fish is 73 inches or over, so that's a little over 6 feet, and that's about 300 pounds, then that gets sold. And if it's good quality, it goes to Japan. If it's bad quality, it stays in the US. So we're getting the dregs. But if that fish is 72 inches, you can keep it.
Okay.
The charter, can keep it. And so you too can have a lot of sushi that day, and then go home and have sushi with your friends, and have grilled tuna, and then have more grilled tuna, and make tuna fish and tuna casserole. And you're still going to have 200 pounds of tuna left. And but it's, if you haven't, so we don't have the capabilities to pack that stuff. What we have done is we'll stake it out for you. will, into big chunks and wrap it, and we'll help you get coolers and ice. And, we have freezers, but not enough to freeze
Mhm.
everybody's giant tuna, but we'll help you
And,
get going with it.
and you're in Massachusetts, right?
I'm in Massachusetts,
All right. I'm
out of
texting my wife right now.
Gloucester. So Boston tuna is supposedly this big thing, and it's also the home of wicked tuna. Have you guys
Mhm.
ever seen wicked tuna? Well, when wicked tuna started, Gary was one of the first people they contacted, and Dave.com, tuna.com, and they got a bunch of guys together to interview for this reality TV show about tuna. And
Mhm.
nobody knew what it was going to be then, didn't have a name or anything. And so they interviewed us all, and we failed the reality TV show.
You're not enough
test.
drama.
We were not enough drama. They now Gary is really serious about what goes on the boat. And first thing he said, "Well, you will make sure your cameras will be out of my way. You're not going to interfere with my fishing. You are not to touch a line. You are not touching anything." And what was another one? And Gary helped build the boat that we have. So it's
Mhm.
it's a classic Jersey style, Carolina style, actually, the tuna tower, express style boat built for tuna fishing. They built about a couple dozen of them at this runaway company that he worked for. And so our boat looked different. It looked nicer than the down east style, hardworking tuna fishing guy. But so they asked us, they asked me, well, what do you do if he tells you to do something totally wrong? I do it. I jump, I do it. Well, why? I said, now, if I don't do it, I'm not on the boat. Well, can't you just tell him he's wrong? I said, no, he's the captain. If he tells me to do something, I do it. Every single one of our mates that interviewed said the same thing. So they said, all right, we'll try a different tack. And they got us together. And they said, who's the boss at home? And we said, what? None of us. What? And they said, well, fake it. And so I couldn't even fake. I'm the boss at home and he's the boss on the boat. We laughed through it. We couldn't do it. So they came back and told us, look, you're too professional and your boat's too fancy, which means you suck at reality TV. You're boring.
You're boring.
Yeah.
Have I ever told you you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish?
Well, Gary can tune a fish, though he's
can.
haddocking today.
Oh, he's haddocking today.
He's haddocking today. But no, it's an awesome thing. I mean, first of all, the hit is like you have your hook out there, and it's like you hit into a car going down the highway. It's incredible. And the wicked tuna will show people reeling, and they're always reeling. Well, that's not true, because you can't reel while this fish is running. You have to wait until and then you get a quarter of a turn. And we rotate people off, and so everyone's tired, everyone gets to reel. And so yesterday they got one and fought it for 5 hours, and it got within almost in harpooning distance and spit the hook out. Yeah, so the guys were a little but the charter was all excited because they got to see the whole thing. And it's the fish are beautiful, and Rob, you probably know, when they get close, so it's not like they swim away for a while and then you reel them in. You have to really what happens is they swim away for a while and might tow the boat for a while, and then they finally get a little tired, and they start to circle. And when they come, and you can feel the circle. So the game is gain when they come towards you, and don't lose so much when they swim away, because these guys are big. They decide to swim, and of course you can't tighten down the drag all the way or you'll lose them. And so you gain a little, and you gain a little, and you lose a little. You gain it, and you gain it, and you get them in. But as they come around the boat on that turn, you see this beautiful fish and the colors and it is fabulous. And now your adrenaline is running since you heard the reel scream. And you just it's so you're on edge. And so Gary was in bed. It was about midnight last night when I got done work and went to bed, and I hear this, I'm still vibrating, because 5 hours of being on edge and ready and waiting to get, that next inch. And then when the line breaks, there's a bazillion things that can go wrong. And this one, the fish won that battle, and they win sometimes when they get big. That's they're supposed to win to get bigger, but he was still vibrating. I felt so bad, 5 hours of that.
Now, could he tell how big it was when it got close?
He estimates about 500 pounds, and he's pretty good at that because he's been doing
500 pounds of tuna at, what's the going price of tuna at Costco?
Oh, at Costco. Well, very interesting, because what you get at Costco is nowhere near what the fishermen are getting this year. We've had a good season. It's been spread out, but a lot of people are catching fish. And so the market is saturated, and only the good fish go to Japan. So we've been lucky. We had 2 go to Japan this year. Our other 2 were domestic. The ones that go to Japan, usually you get more money. But we've been getting this year, if you get $10 a pound, that's awesome. When I met Gary a lot of years ago, not quite 30, but say 20 years ago, $20 was a good price. And last year, $1 a pound if they would take your fish. If they would take it. A lot of times they would say, we don't want it. Don't even bring a fish in. So guys go out and kill this beautiful creature, and then technically you're supposed to just let it go. So we're trying to fix those rules. We're trying to fix those rules and get it so that when something like that happens, it can all go to a food pantry.
Right.
But right now there's no legal way to do that.
Yeah, and you really do have to stay legal. It can get really expensive really fast. And I will give you my one example. A friend of mine caught a rockfish. It was maybe 2 millimeters undersize.
Oh yeah.
That was enough for DNR, Department of Natural Resources, to write her a massive, expensive ticket.
Yep.
So,
and if that was us, where we're a charter boat, it's the visibility of our business, and they can yank our permit.
Yeah.
And say that's it, beyond just a fine. And
yeah. So things that I catch out here, and it's called a creek. It's a river. Maryland is strange. To the Chesapeake Bay, if I am anywhere close to minimum, it goes back in the water. I don't want that ticket. It's not.
It's not worth it. This year on striped bass, we have a slot limit. It's 28 to 31. You can keep the fish. And of course, the fish know that, and they beef up, and they're all 33, 35, 38, and we have to let them all go. But it's great catching. And so we're like, just get a little one, guys. It just, if it's a really good hit, just let it go. We need a little one for you to take one home. But it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. That way.
It is, because we've had a lot of overfishing in the Chesapeake. A lot of overfishing, and rockfish are just coming back. Blue crabs are just coming back. The numbers are coming back up.
Oh, good.
It's really, you have to be it's a management issue.
Yeah.
And part of me goes, yeah, we're dealing with the government. But the other part of me goes, it's a conservation issue. You know, you don't want to wipe out. Like a couple years ago, they had massive rockfish. What is it? What is it they
Die-off.
call? Well, no, it's not the die off. It was what are those fish traps that they set where they swim in but they can't swim out?
The seine trap or gill nets?
No, it wasn't a gill net.
No, it's
It's actually a fish trap. There's a way
a
in, but
weir.
the
Yeah, I think that's it.
Hmm.
It's sort of like
I know
the
what you
diagonal
mean.
across
A
the
fish
creek.
trap.
it's a fish
A
trap,
fish trap.
and they were not marked appropriately.
Uh-oh.
And DNR, Department of Natural Resources, you know, they basically stuck, you know, did a stakeout and waited for somebody to come try to get their fish. So
Uh-oh.
yeah, and there were several of them.
Oh.
Even when oysters in the Chesapeake Bay, you cannot catch oysters in the Chesapeake Bay under power. You cannot dredge for
Oh,
oysters.
I didn't know that. That's
You
cool.
have to do it under sail power.
Or
You
by,
have
yeah, that's interesting.
you have to be sailing. Okay.
That's
And
why all those oyster boats have the sail.
that's why they have the sail and
Yeah.
also the little skiff in the back that they can raise up out of the water. Okay. And that I can't remember what the type of boat is called, but when they raise the skiff up, they are dredging for oysters.
Okay.
All right.
Uh-huh.
When they put the skiff back in that push the boat, the ship along, you know, they're just on the way.
Oh,
And
interesting.
if they have the
Yeah.
boat in while they're dredging for oysters, they are in deep kimchi.
Oh, that's
So
interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah. So we're talking about, you know, this is an
Fish.
Oracle centric thing, and we're talking a
Well,
lot about fishing. This is awesome.
what's really neat is my client that I absolutely adore that I've had I worked for before I was TH
Roger.
Technology.
Okay, there we are.
Okay. It's all with fish. So ACCSP is Atlantic Coastal Cooperative Statistics Program.
Mm-hmm.
There's no F in there for fisheries, but what it is fisheries data or data consolidation for all the fisheries organizations, including Maryland DNR, up and down the Atlantic coast, around Florida, over to Texas. So we started with 31 partners. We have more. Potomac River is one that came recently. And this started back in the days where everything was data entry. And it was data entry into assorted databases. Most of the partners had an Oracle database of some sort, but we were doing data entry with Oracle forms. And initially we were consolidating all the data that got entered into an Oracle database or a MySQL database and bringing it all together so we could gather data for Fisheries US. I don't think it was called Fisheries US, but it's kind of like healthcare. There is no big fish database in the sky. Then we're getting close. So fish, as you may gather, don't know and don't care if they're in Maryland or Virginia, or where I am, if they're in New Hampshire or Massachusetts or Rhode Island. And when they regulate fisheries, something like striped bass, which I think is your rockfish, they cross borders. So in order to manage properly, they have to have the data from all the adjacent states, and in some species, all the all the states up and down the coast. So that's what the purpose of ACCSP was, to standardize things enough. I say things, but standardize the data enough so that it could be consolidated in a realistic way and then shared and used across the US for regulations and management. So we have a commercial side, we have a recreational side, and we have a lot of fun. And we've come from the early days with Oracle Forms, and this is just technology wise, data entry in Oracle Forms. All of our data now from dealers and from fishermen, because it's a 2-ticket system, all comes in electronically now.
Oh,
So I think there is a manual override, but dealers are required to report electronically. Most fishermen can report electronically now. We can match up the dealer report to the fisherman report now. And so just technology wise, we can do those things. When the first mandatory system was for dealers, and I believe we had Apex for that by then. And actually it was HTML-DB then.
oh yeah, I remember that.
And we got this application up and running. We got all the states and the federal agencies to agree, and I'll talk about that in a minute, because that's a big feat. And then we had to train these dealers. Now, in Boston, Massachusetts, most of the dealers have a system, whether they have a laptop or not. They have something in their office. You get into Rockport, Pigeon Cove, maybe not. You get into Maryland and all the little rivers and creeks in the Chesapeake, you don't know that you got internet. You're not even sure you got electricity there. There may not be
excuse me, we just had a new outhouse installed.
Oh,
Okay.
thanks. Yeah. I get it. No, but this seriously, and there were legislative things like you can't mandate this because we don't know if anyone's going to have internet. We don't even know if they're going to have a computer, and so we had to maintain old systems and carry over, and so we've really grown a lot with that way, and it's been a lot of fun because in a job like this, I am all technical. I have nothing to do with regulation. I just collect data, make it easy for you to collect the data, make it easy for you to report, make it easy for people to pull data out. Nothing to do with regulations. And I have to make that very clear a lot. But we did it. We made life easier for fishermen. We made life easier for the dealers, no matter what species. And so we get better reporting. Now, fishermen still don't like to tell the truth about what they catch where. And
it was this big.
So one of the things that we're doing, we now have what we call safest standard Atlantic fisheries information system. And it's not just me building these things. There's a whole ACCSP is a whole organization. It's partially federally funded. It's part of the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Council. They have an office in Arlington.
Virginia?
Yes. And so there's a whole team of us, wonderful people that I've worked with for over 20 years that know fish rules and pull these things together. What was huge, and Mike Cahill was our kind of the driving force behind this. Federal agencies permit vessels, permit boats. State agencies permit individuals. And getting the two to mesh, and the rules are different, and it was tricky in getting them to, and fishermen used to have to report to like in Massachusetts, we would report to the state of Massachusetts and to National Marine Fisheries, Greater Atlantic region, because we fish under licenses that go with both of those organizations. And if we went into New Hampshire, we would have to report in New Hampshire as well. So now we report in one place and it goes automatically to all the agencies that need that data. Herring permit. We have a herring permit so we can catch herring for bait legally.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone has that permit, but we, as you know, the visibility that we have that permit. That's an Atlantic States fishery, so we have to report into the mid-Atlantic on our
Mm-hmm.
herring catch, and the most strict regulations apply. So of course all our code has to be cognizant of the organizations for every permit for this individual who's reporting,
Mm-hmm.
what agencies, but by nature of whatever he's connected to in terms of permit and or vessels, he or she has to report by the most restrictive regulations. So
Mm-hmm.
you turn on or off certain fields and frequency of reporting and things like that, based on the strictest. So if our herring permit in the mid-Atlantic says you must report absolutely everything you catch and every time you leave the dock, whether it's to get fuel or bait or ice, then
Mm-hmm.
that's what we have to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so we've got a lot of this in place. And the contract that I just got, that I'm kind of excited about and saying, oh geez, is to put validations in the declarative validations in the system. There's a set of core fields that everybody has, start date, end date, trip start date,
Mm-hmm.
trip end, species, size, hours, fish, gear, blah, blah, blah.
Debate.
Yeah, and there's
I'm
all kinds of
curious.
regulations.
I'm curious, off on a tangent.
Okay,
What bait do you use for tuna?
depends on what day and what you can get. The fattest, butteriest thing you can get.
Okay.
Right now, bait is a huge issue because the bait has changed hugely
Oh.
in the last 20 years, and that has to do with fisheries management as well. But
Mm-hmm.
anyhow, we herring, whiting, mackerel, bluefish, if you can get a
Mm-hmm.
bluefish on the way out.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we would love to be able to use striped bass for
Mm-hmm.
bait, but striped bass is an inshore fishery. We
Right.
cannot legally catch a striped bass inshore and bring it offshore because they don't know if we caught it offshore or inshore.
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot, though it's a nice bait. Sometimes butterfish.
Okay.
I've had guys bring butterfish up from New Jersey, and so, but whatever, we try and get on a typical tuna charter, we try and go out and get live bait in the morning. In our
Mm-hmm.
area now, in the last
Mm-hmm.
few years, that's mackerel.
Okay.
Um,
And the reason why I ask this is I typically just use lures.
mhm.
All right. However, when I was in Oshkosh enjoying the air show, my wife drove my truck onto the beach in Delaware, and I was
Awesome.
like, "Oh no!" But she figured out how, she did everything right.
Great.
But they went in and inspected her, and she did not have live bait. Okay, I'm going to say
Oh,
organic bait. All
okay.
right. So I just have lures that I use. And so she had to drive to the bait shop to get bonita
Mhm.
to keep from getting a citation. And this was,
Wow.
and I'm like, and then, I go through all the paperwork for, surf fishing, and it says nothing about, using organic
Yeah,
bait. It
that's a
goes,
rule now?
apparently, or she was just dealing with somebody who was difficult.
Wow, that is really cool. So because lures get stuck on the fish and eventually kill them, and you probably have to use circle hooks as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is
Oh, that's
strange.
interesting. And no more treble hooks. No more treble
Yeah.
hooks.
Mm-hmm.
That is really
And
good. We don't get bonita our as far north as we are. I think
mhm.
south of the Cape.
Bonita is really good for crabs and
Mhm.
fishing. So I use it all the time. But
Yeah, I
it was
know.
like one of those things. It's like she grabbed my
Wow.
tackle box and put it in the truck, and all of the other associated things associated with surf fishing, and threw it in the truck
Oh, that's great.
with her friends, and then drives my F-150 on the beach, and I'm like going, I love you, dear. I love you, dear. I love you, dear. Please do not drive my truck into the surf.
Right. But she knows when she came off the beach to rinse it and
Yes.
stroke it and polish it and the whole nine yards.
Yeah. I think she washed it, compounded it, waxed it,
Oh, what a girl.
and did a freshwater rinse. No, she didn't.
Oh, I would have
She
to. I would
she
have
did
to.
she did what I normally do, is I just take the hose and I do a freshwater rinse on the undercarriage,
Yeah.
just to get all the salt and sand out
Yeah.
of it. So yeah, I was just
Very
curious
cool.
about that. If you're going to catch a tuna, what do you use? We don't get tuna in the Chesapeake.
That's interesting that they wouldn't. Do you get smaller tuna in there?
Yeah, but I typically don't go fishing for tuna.
Okay.
It's like I go fishing for rockfish, or I usually say whatever's biting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm over
And
100 miles inland, so but I do have a 10-acre or 5-acre pond in my backyard, so I catch largemouth bass.
Oh, nice. Now, do you
oh,
stock
good.
or are they just they're natural?
Well, the pond or the lake was created by the previous owner, so he
Mm-hmm.
stocked it, but they kind of keep themselves multiplied, I guess. So it's always it always
You're
has
not
fish in
fishing
it.
hard enough.
That's well, actually, I had some problems with otters, and they kill a lot of fish
Oh,
too. But
Otters?
cool.
but yeah, I definitely need to fish harder because the pond that size, I should probably take about 80 pounds of fish out a year, and I probably
Mm-hmm.
take maybe a quarter of that at most. So,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, fish
so
harder.
yeah.
Now,
Mm.
here's something for you, Karen. And this is on the data that you collect on
Okay.
fishing, but also on, I'm going to say, maintaining the environment. Okay,
Okay.
because we're all into it's like, let's not trash what we have that's good. All right.
Exactly.
All right. My wife, Candy, is a master watershed steward,
Oh,
kind of
cool.
like a master gardener.
Hmm.
All right. And we spend a lot of time and effort just restoring the natural habitat,
Hmm.
pulling out invasive species and planting natives.
Oh, cool.
And now I found out I have snakeheads in my creek. So now I'm going to go on, a snakehead hunt and, see how many I can kill.
Yeah.
But can the data you collect from the fisheries, how could we combine that with also like these little estuaries where it's like, you have pollution in the estuaries, high nitrogen, all of the other things that impact the life in the water, to
Hmm.
the point where we put in fountains along our creek because the nitrogen content was so high. And also we have a sewage treatment plant down the
Yeah.
ways, just to aerate the water, so we didn't have 5 fish kills a year.
Fish style.
So how
So
could we
Well, what you're talking about is what the fisheries agencies call habitat.
Mm-hmm,
And it's just a matter of merging or cross referencing the data that we collect on catch and where and weight and size and all that, because
mm-hmm,
we are getting more biological data now. First it was just the catch, the
mm-hmm,
reporting.
mm-hmm,
Now we're getting more biological and more recreational surveys all in there, which
mm-hmm,
is all important. Then you need to combine that now with the biological data where people are actually measuring length and weight and numbers and where they came from.
mm-hmm,
You also need the water quality. What was the
mm-hmm,
temperature? What was and I mean we get depth and what was it? Miles and depth and water temp, which is some
mm-hmm.
of it. But you also need the people that are running water quality tests out there too, and
Right.
seeing what's going on. And then you combine that data and say, okay, we had a huge year class of striped bass in um,
Mm-hmm,
2018 or
mm-hmm,
2015. Well, why was that? What was the water quality? Or what usually happens is we had a huge kill, a huge die off in Long Island Sound. I forget how many years ago that was, but it was a
mm-hmm.
huge problem, a huge lobster die off. And
Okay.
lobster, and again, they that's when they start looking at that, the people that are getting the habitat data in terms of the water temp is most important, and then water quality, what else is in that water, and then you
Right.
combine the two.
Mm-hmm,
Lobster is a species that um, if you kill off a whole year class, you can
mm-hmm.
really wipe out lobster in the area because they're
Right.
just how
Right.
they are. So huge, obviously a huge industry and a huge impact there.
And I
Um,
love lobster.
I know our agency doesn't do too much with habitat kind of data
Mm-hmm,
right now, and we're
mm-hmm,
just starting getting more into biological data. We have the standards for it, just
mm-hmm.
not all agencies are collecting it at the same level. So
Right.
like there's a project going on with North Carolina right now to transfer their biological data to ACCSP.
Mm-hmm.
And but it'd be cool to have more of that habitat data in there. But what
Well,
people
that's
do,
one of those things that I kind of collect habitually.
oh cool.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
because
like
you live there. You live there.
I I live there, and and I go out and I have this little disc. All right, it's white and black, gives me visibility. Drop it down in the water. When does it disappear?
Cool.
All right. Um, collect water samples, and I do some very basic testing. Here, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a biologist by any stretch of the imagination, but I do have 3 or 4 brain cells that do bump together. And I can tell you the nitrogen levels are astronomical in our
Wow.
creek. And that's largely because of just at the North Chesapeake Bay is the Susquehanna and
Okay.
all the farms that, is just
Uh,
constant, we get
and the more
runoff
it
from the
rains, the
farms.
worse it gets.
Yeah. Oh, every time it rains, I refuse to get in the water. I have to give it 3 or 4 days, because we just
Wow.
get all this runoff.
Oh, that's tough.
So,
So, but what would be helpful is if there was a little Apex app
yes.
where you, citizen
Hmm.
scientists, could enter that data, because that would be helpful.
Yes.
Because your
Yeah.
data is a data point that the scientists aren't getting.
I think you, myself,
I can build one of those.
we should get together in September, go fishing and spec it
Hmm.
out.
Oh yeah, easy. And if you keep your data in a
Hmm.
spreadsheet,
Hmm.
or you must keep it in something, or a database, or whatever you have. I'm thinking you might have a database.
I
Maybe.
might have a database.
Yeah. So, but we can turn that real easily into a simple little Apex app.
Yeah, and just give, citizens and not make everything mandatory, because there's going to be people out there who aren't going to go, well, what's the
I'm
nitrogen
not doing that
content
every
of
week.
my,
Yeah.
but it's easy to drop that disc in, get the visibility, get the water temps. That's
Well,
easy to do.
there's a ton of little creeks and rivers
Hmm.
in the Chesapeake. If there was one data point in every one of those,
Hmm.
once a week, once a month, that's
Hmm.
more than they're getting now. Way more
Right.
than they're getting now. And then you can see trends or
Hmm.
untrends, and
Yeah.
and then when there's a event,
Right.
when like the rain could have been 5 days ago,
Hmm.
inland, and you
Hmm.
don't see it till till now.
Right.
And yeah, so that's really cool.
I really think we should get together in September and discuss it on the boat
I think
and spec
definitely.
it out. Yeah.
I can tell you what days. Yeah, we'll
All
figure
right.
out what
Bring
days.
your own alcohol, Rob.
Post 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 cloud world,
Okay.
or wait a minute. Maybe we can do before. Cloud worlds with that. Yeah, either way. We fish into October. The trouble with October is it gets windy.
Oh yeah.
So we get more wind days. But yeah, and I'm looking at the week of the 10th through the 16th is pretty much booked. The week of
Okay.
Cloud World is not, but the week after, we'll have commercial days that week. And actually 4, 5, 6, yeah, we'll find. And then October we got a lot of time there too.
Hmm.
We can make this happen. It'd be cool.
Let's make this happen. I think we can do amazing things with it. My
It
wife
would be a
just
lot of
texted
fun.
me and said yes
Oh, great, great,
on
great,
coming
great.
up to go tuna fishing. She loves fishing.
Oh, awesome.
And now I usually catch her bait.
My husband used to feed me bait when we were dating.
He
Yeah.
must love you.
Oh,
He
it
was trying to
was,
catch you, reel you in.
oh, it was, I thought, see, I would go off to work and he would go out fishing, and I would bring a salad and he would bring the fish. And I
Hmm.
thought he was spending time to catch fish just for our dinner, that was so special. And one day at dinner, he let out, man, this little guy did a real good job all day long, but he didn't get eaten. I'm like, what are we eating? And I think it was whiting. So we were eating the bait. He was feeding me the bait every day. Not even the good bait, the leftover bait that didn't get eaten. Leftover bait. Yeah, I was
It was
not
too
happy.
tired to work the next day, right?
Yeah. It was. Oh, well, yeah, because you can't overnight the bait. It's not perky enough. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't, to my knowledge, I was never fed dogfish. I don't think I ever got fed dogfish, which was good. Dogfish are kind of like the rats of the ocean right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have them where you are, but yeah, they're pretty bad around here. They're like sand sharks, little sand sharks.
Okay.
Once
Okay.
you get one, you might as well move because you got a ton of them, and you'll be pulling a fish in and they'll eat the stomach out or eat the whole
Hmm.
thing. They'll eat your bait. They're just like little rats. And but
Well, I'm curious when a fisherman hits on let's say a longitude latitude, it's like massive amounts of dogfish. Okay.
mhm.
Is there a way to report that? And then all of the other associated data points, depth, water quality, and all the other things. And to take it one step further, is it possible to create a IoT device that goes on the boat that collects all that information? Typically, it's your sonar.
I would think there is such a device that would collect all that automatically. And
Hmm.
that's what you would need, because the fishermen don't want to be bothered with recording all of that.
Right.
They tell each other,
Hmm.
I'm here, there's dogs. And,
Mhm.
you know, I'm at the funny hump, there's dogs. I'm in Blue Hill, there's, you know, dogs here. So, but the names that they use aren't the names that you see on the chart. Everybody has their own little lingo for things.
Mhm.
But Gary's log is, for example, I get called, there's a recreational survey
Mhm.
that I wrote the app for, but so they call and she's asking for all this data. At first I said, I don't know, I wasn't, oh, wait a minute. And I can look it up in his logbook. He's got, you know, what was caught, what the temp was, you know, the fishermen record all this stuff. It's
Mhm.
just, it never gets back to the agencies because there's no formal, there's no formal requirement for reporting that. And, yeah, but it'd be fun to have all that and have the IoT device and then just review your data. I'm sure there are some guys that do this. That
Well,
have
I'm
it
wondering if it would actually be easier to partner with like Garmin or the other manufacturers
and
so
just
that
get a little IoT device that has all that.
yeah, because most fishermen already have, you know, all of the
Mhm.
electronics on their boat
Exactly. I
and
don't
partner with,
know. I don't know if, like the fish finder,
Mhm.
and how many fish finders also have temp. We have temp on the boat, but
Yeah,
it's not tied into anything to save it.
yeah,
We have a
yeah.
chart plotter. I wonder if that might have it. I'll have to ask,
Mhm.
how much do we have?
Yeah, how much
And what
data
would it
is
take?
actually recorded?
Yeah,
And then to take it to the next level that it saves it in, let's just call it right now, a standardized format. Okay.
and then charts it so that you would know when the temps increase in this area, there's a higher likelihood of dogfish in this area.
Hmm.
Or at least you'd
Well,
know last year when the temps rose, the dogs came in this
and
area.
also the tuna are here, the great whites are here. You know,
Yeah,
fisherman goes, hey, you know, I got a great white, and pushes the magical button. You know, they give them a button. It's like, let's record this.
and I think there's an app called Sharktivity,
Hmm.
and that they might, I don't know if Sharktivity will let you record, hey, I just saw one,
Yeah.
but
But you see, if you make it
yeah,
easy for the fishermen, because usually their
then just
devices are right there,
ping. That's exactly it.
ping.
That's what they need. That, and then they report it and it's done.
And
Or
then
it's done for them.
right, it's done for them, and you've gathered the data. And if everybody can agree on a standardized format, Magellan and Garmin and everybody
Yeah.
else in the world, and a standardized, and then just, once a week, once a day, once an event, upload it to the cloud.
Yeah.
How much data could we gather?
Oh, you could gather a ton. You could gather
Yeah,
a ton that way. And
yeah,
you'd have
eh,
to let them opt in, but why would they care?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That would be cool.
Because
Um,
all the data points are there. Well, maybe not every data point that you would want,
yeah.
because temp is giving you surface temp.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 200 feet down, the temperature is different.
Right?
All right, but you have that one data point.
Yep. You get something.
Hmm.
And so sometimes when these guys have gear, like
Hmm.
we're rod and reel fishing.
Yeah,
But for
yeah.
these guys that have traps and dredges and trawls and stuff, they may
Hmm.
have, they may know temperature or depth.
Hmm.
And pretty much the larger the vessel, the more elaborate the electronics,
Hmm.
the more data points they are being asked to collect and
Hmm.
report.
And if the device does it automatically with minimal,
Yeah, with minimal disruption,
yeah,
that works great.
I think we need to
Fun little
get
side job
together.
here.
Yeah, a little side job. I think we all need to get together on your boat in September, go fishing for tuna, All
We can
right.
do that.
All right.
We
And
can definitely do that.
Roger, you need to come along too, because you're the
Oh, you're
optimization
gonna
guy.
love this. You'll love this, Roger. We can have lobster for dinner. The boat next to us in the marina is a dive boat, and they get tired of lobsters, so we trade them bass or tuna for lobsters. So we will be all set.
Okay.
That works
I'm
really, really well.
I'm liking this.
But there's lots of possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and a project like that,
Mm-hmm.
let's just make it easier for them to push a button and have it integrated with the tools that they're already buying that are already on their boat, or and then you can make an app for that,
Mm-hmm.
and let them click a button on an app. Some people are into doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you don't have to regulate. As soon
Mm-hmm.
as you have to regulate something, it
Mm-hmm.
has to go through government agencies and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And it's totally opt-in.
Yeah.
Um, and you may want to actually bypass government regulation
Yeah.
entities. Simply because I know a lot of fishermen and a lot of watermen.
And they don't want to do that.
They don't want to do that. But if you were to provide it to, say, let's just say a 501c.
Yeah.
All right. All right. We're going to gather this data. The data you can, however, but it all goes around to maintaining the fisheries and maintaining the environment of the fisheries, so we don't destroy them.
Right. I think the Sharktivity app, I'm pretty sure that's not government. It
Mm-hmm.
might be, but it's not marketed that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to keep people on Cape Cod aware of where are these great whites.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
swim in
they
the
don't
ocean every
swim in
day,
them.
so I don't look.
You
I
don't
do
look for
not
great
look.
whites. They're big.
There's been reports of them north of Cape Cod
Mm-hmm.
in our area, but where I usually swim, there are no seals. So anywhere
Mm-hmm.
where seals congregate, you'll see the great whites.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place in Salisbury north of us where they've been reported.
I have a old friend who did a lot of stuff for Discovery Shark Week.
Oh, cool.
Okay. And a lot of other discovery stuff. And we went down to Australia. He's filming great white sharks. I'm just basically hanging out with him.
Mhm.
And I'm going to tell you, the Aussies are crazy. They are absolutely insane crazy. We're in a shark cage, and this Aussie takes this piece of tuna, holds it outside of the cage, and gives it to the great white shark. All right.
Okay.
Shark just comes up, goes like that, and kind of falls away. It became my turn. And I'm the guy, it's like I'm just slowly inching my hand out of the cage. I get the 15-foot bull with a bad attitude. He took like 3 swipes of his tail, mouth wide open, charged the cage, and probably went back to his friend, said, made that one shit his pants.
Ay.
But
Ay.
fish have different personalities,
Okay.
just like dogs and everything else.
Wow. Well, when they get to be that big, they will. They will.
Yeah.
They definitely will.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm liking this.
Well, and just think how far we've come technology-wise that we can talk about this and know that it's readily doable.
Oh, it's
It's spin
readily
something up
doable.
easy.
It'll take work, but we can make it happen.
Well, and creating a database is so much faster now. Bring up a
Mm-hmm.
new schema, quick SQL, some stuff into it. That'll be easy. And then, and actually, if you have a spreadsheet, there is that Apex drag and drop into an app,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's cool. It's really cool how that works.
Right.
And it's not your final thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it it gets you a lot of the way there. Then you can poke around and, well, okay, let's do this and this and have a chart, and here's the data entry interface, and where can we automate this, and I think where they're going with progressive web apps, it's going to make it so much easier to have a mobile app without doing much of anything, without even thinking.
Right.
And most of us have our phone signal. Of course, we have to have a phone signal all the time now. But you know, if you've got a phone signal, you have a way to enter data and get things going.
Well, and your phone is a massive bunch of sensors.
Yep. We'll just drop the phone down. Aren't they waterproof now?
Why not?
Next year we'll all have waterproof phones. They're
No,
getting better. They are getting better.
I think I'm still like 3 generations behind.
Really?
I replace my phone when the screen is all shattered, nothing starts up. It's like, and I almost regret replacing my phone because I'm like, they made me buy another phone. And you know, with me, it's like once a month I do a hardware reset on it.
Oh,
that in
well,
my
because you're
tablet.
Mr. Security.
Yeah. There's
We
no
should.
telling
We all should.
Everybody should. Everybody
Everybody
absolutely should.
And I have to confess, at Christmas, I put the Google Echo on because I know just for a couple weeks, because I love to say, okay, Google, turn on the tree. And it does. But then we have fun with it, and we ask it questions, and if you tell it to blow itself up, it will.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's but when we have it, we have to be very careful what we say, because and it's, if people don't believe that that's true, you know, plug something like that in, have a normal conversation, then open up your phone and look at the ads you have. It's scary how fast they are.
It is scary. I put an Amazon Echo and an Alexis in my house.
Yeah.
Okay. And left for a weekend with a sniffer on the network.
Oh,
those two devices were extraordinarily chatty. Nothing going on in the house, but they were just constantly chatty. But because the communications is encrypted, I have no idea what was going on.
Oh, interesting.
So I won't have one in my house.
So
it was just an experiment I did. You know, what do they do when nothing else is happening in the house?
Well, they're listening.
Yeah.
Or they don't know whether you're home or not. I would think. Well, they probably have algorithms where they do know if you're home or not.
So that was just sending data up to the cloud or talking to each other.
Well,
that would be, if they were talking to each other, that would be fun.
Well, you could see the data packets going up and then an ACK. And acknowledge. What I'm going to assume was a very small data packet coming back. So
very interesting.
So I'm really.
Do you have fish?
Yeah.
Goldfish?
I'm sorry?
Maybe. Do you have goldfish? Maybe they're talking.
No. No.
That's with nothing going on. Yeah.
And then when I was in Oshkosh, I was talking to a guy. He's in sales. His company makes chip building devices. You know, he didn't go really into it, but goes, well, you know, we're precise down to 1 micron. And I go, 1 micron, that's really, really small. And then he's on his cell phone on a call with a client in Taiwan and somebody else here and there. And I jokingly said, you know, the Chinese are listening to you, which they are.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. And I go, when do you do a hardware reset on your phone? Never. I'm like, then don't be surprised when
they've got your stuff.
when they know exactly what you're doing. I may be paranoid, but that doesn't mean they're not out to get me.
No, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
I'm liking this.
Oh, I think it's
Roger,
gonna be a lot of fun.
Roger, how would you optimize that feed?
In terms, which one? Which one are you talking about?
Well, if you had the feed of, let's just take the
Fish data.
GPS, the fish data off a Garmin device, it records,
Uh,
I'm a chart plotter.
the chart plotter and the
Make sure
temps.
it's not SQLNet over the wide area network. That's for
No,
sure.
it won't be that.
Yeah.
But that's
Won't
like
be
when I was
that.
at FinCEN, the large banks would just create a massive flat file and once a week upload it.
Yeah. Well,
So that
nowadays,
if
someone
Yeah.
would probably use JSON or something like that, but
Mhm.
JSON probably gets into Karen's topic of no data model. Or
Oh,
I suppose you could
yeah.
reverse engineer a data model from JSON, but it's going to be reverse engineering many data models from JSON.
Well, JSON we can handle. It's the and it starts from, and I had conversations with Joel Coleman about this. Take a spreadsheet, drag it into Apex, and it builds an app for you. But
Mhm.
that spreadsheet's not normalized. So now you have an app with no data model. And if you don't apply some smarts right then
Mhm.
and start re-engineering things and build a data model in the background, if you're going to make it any bigger than what it is, then it grows. And now you've got a production data entry system with no data model. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. But anyhow, but
I
that
like
has
data
happened.
models.
That has happened. And yeah,
I was
this is why
curious
code reviews are good.
about the application or the new contract that you were talking about. You said something about declarative rules. It sounded like you were saying declarative rules, so you would be building sort of like a rule-based system where you
Oh,
don't have to write code for each rule, and it would just apply those rules dynamically. Is that what you're
we're
talking about?
that would be ideal, Roger. That would be absolutely ideal. And if we didn't have so much code in place right now, then we could do that better. But things that we can do dynamically. So I'm adding validations to a system that's already out there collecting a ton of data. And right now they have some data processes that run audits on the data after it's already submitted and collected. But what they want now is to validate this data as it's uploaded or as it's entered. So it's kind of two code bases. So we have a set of core fields and then we have attribute fields. And what we want to do is implement these validations, either and some will be client side, some will be server side, and have it. What we have are cases where the error message that I want to display is different for this state than it is for another state. So it may be the same species, which we know by an ITIS code, but in Massachusetts, it might be striped bass. In Maryland, it might be rockfish, an easy example. You want to report it with the error message that's makes sense for that area. Bigger problem is when the validation kicks in, because it may be an error in Massachusetts because my size limit is such and such, but not in Maryland because the size limit allows what I have. And it'd be different yet again in Maine and New Hampshire and Virginia and Florida is, and usually North Carolina is on a whole nother planet. So same field, but we may have 14 different validations that apply on that field. So what we need, we don't want to have 14 physical validations there. We want to have something dynamic in terms of what validation applies when, depending on the guy's permits and set of regulations that are in, and what error message displays, what bounds. So, so I'm gonna have to get really creative, and it's the kind of thing where the first thing is to build the validation interface, the definition interface.
Mhm.
So, and remember, it's biologists that are entering this, what these validations are. So I can say I need to check in this fishery, here's the list of allowed species in this fishing season. So, and now that list of allowed species, this is an easy one. It's going to be different for every partner. So I've got a table, I've got a partner ID, I've got some dates attached to it, or maybe it's an ID that goes to a season table. And so when this record comes through, I have a trip identifier. From that trip identifier, I know where this guy is fishing, and I can determine under what regulations he's fishing, under what licenses he's fishing. According to that license and that partner, I can tell what species are legal, and if the species they have selected is not in that list of legal based on select blah blah blah, where A B C D E F G, then I spit out error message that corresponds to that license and that partner. So that's the kind of thing that this validations is building. And it, you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And through the years, they're kind of funny. They're like, yeah, Karen can do it. And it's fun, but this one is going to be like, oh man. So I just did the timeline for this yesterday. So not all of it. And I had to ask them, like, are you expecting that I'm going to have this validation interface where different biologists can go in and enter, you know, we want species under this license to be this list and blah, blah, blah. And this is the error message they want. And I've also said, and you need to give me the help text that goes on that field. So now we're going to have dynamic help text on the fields, because that's partner specific. Right now it isn't. And it's going to need to be, if our error messages are going to be partner specific, then our help needs to match that. So at first I had to ask, you are not expecting that once they define this, it's automatically going to happen, right? And they said, no, we realize. So that we're too far along to do that. Now, it would be a fabulous problem to tackle if we were building the system from scratch to build that in.
Yeah, we had years ago, I worked on a clinical trials system, and I designed what they call the validation subsystem. And with the validation subsystem, there were maybe, let's say, per clinical trial, 300 distinct fields that would be collected at various times during the clinical trial. But what we did was we gave the people who had to do the validation basically just a simple expression. So they could type in a logical expression that would be like the field equals something, or like something greater than, you know, they could do like age greater than whatever. So that basically, as complex of a logical or arithmetic expression that they wanted to type in, as long as we had field, you know, because we did have fields for everything, then they could put that in. And what the system did was it just read those in and pulled the values out of the database and just stuffed them into the expression that was already that person had typed in. And then it would just, if it returned true, then it was good. If it returned false, then it was bad.
And that's the sort of thing I'm gonna be building. And one of the things they asked for is they wanted like that logical expression builder. I mean, they're the easy ones. This can't be null. This has to be in this list. this value has to be greater than that value. Or what they want is that logical operator in the middle.
Mhm.
So I have to give them, pick the column, pick the operator, pick the second column,
Mhm.
and then yeah. So I may call and pick your brain on some of this. And then we know there are going to be cases where some of it is just the rules are way too complex for that simple declaration. So I
Mhm.
kind of think about it, and if you guys don't know Apex, but you might have seen this, a simple condition on an element, a region or an item or page item. There's a whole bunch of selectables, not null, is null, item is not null, item is null, item is greater than equal to value 1, item is between value 1 and value 2. I can build most of those, but then you get down to PL/SQL expression, or function body,
Mhm.
so I'm for some of them, I'm going to get to that function body, and they're going to have to, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, because they're biologists that don't always know SQL or know how to write that. So,
Mhm. Yeah, well, we
yeah,
found, because the type of people who were doing the validation were, people who managed the clinical trials. So they were like nurses and things like that. So,
yeah,
but I found that most people were able to put together logical expressions, even like if they
oh,
wanted to get
good.
complex with ors and using parentheses to, to break it up into, the proper logic, I guess you could say.
So did you let them type that in, or did you build a little interface so they could build it?
They typed it in. But we knew like if they typed in the wrong column name, or let's call it column name, or the wrong attribute, that was not, it didn't work.
Yeah. So yeah, what they've asked, and they gave me examples of, we like this, and it's some, big company report builder. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to build a report builder for you, but let's see if we can build a little expression builder that'll get us through
Yep.
80% of the cases.
Yeah. And what I did years ago was just prototyped it real quickly to show,
Mhm.
in like 2 weeks, to show what was possible. And then that hooked them. Then they said, all right, build it. But
Oh, cool. See,
but
that's,
it took a lot longer to build than to prototype.
yeah.
Build.
So I have, it's funny you say that, because I just gave him a timeline yesterday, and part of that timeline, I'm now in that period where I'm building a prototype,
Mhm.
and then I have a demo, like POC, proof of concept, and I want to show them this in, I forget if I said 2 or 3 weeks, and is this what you meant, kind of thing. And if this is the direction that you really wanted me to go in, and this, I think this is possible, and this is how I see this falling together, and then I have to build. This is Sally. It's her birthday
Nice.
today.
There she is. So yeah, that sounds really complicated, because it sounds like the species list there would be like multiple species lists and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And I found in this application that's been built over the last 20 years, audit tables. And I'm thinking, so one of my questions was, are the validation tables the same as the audit tables? And now these audit
No.
tables cover things like species by partner by permit type, which would be your license type,
Mhm.
and gear per species per partner per license type, because certain gears are allowed and not allowed depending on what you're fishing for. And so there's a whole bunch of these tables, and I thought, wow, a lot of this work is done, the interfaces are there. And the response was, oh, those. Well, no, we started on those a long time ago, and they never really got implemented. So I have a foundation of maybe data,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, so we'll have to see.
Interesting.
Yeah, so someone has tried before and stopped. How encouraging. And I know when it says audit, what they do is they run a big long SQL script that checks for outliers. And
Yep.
so that's what they were trying to do, was automate some of that. So not throw away for sure, but lots of work to do.
Right.
And I got a year to do it, and then I can think about retiring.
Well, we have to give you a
That
new
was-
title before that.
Oh,
So
I need a new title.
yeah, maybe we could use steal from Rich Nemec and use Chief Innovation Officer.
I could do that. I could do
Chief,
that.
Chief
Somebody
Innovation
innovating.
Officer.
Chief Fish.
Or Rob. Rob
Officer.
is not a muckety muck, or not. Now he's Chief Muckety Muck. So
Chief
Oh.
Muckety Muck. I like Muckety Muck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chief
The
Muckety Muck.
president is just not,
It's
yeah,
boring.
and director is boring. I'm not
Mhm.
big on, like, they made me KEO, and I'm like, guys, I don't like letters, like, but
Chief Tuna
innovation
Huntress.
officer. Chief THO. I don't know.
THO.
Nobody will
Wait,
know what that is.
CTHO.
CTHO.
Chief Tuna Huntress Officer.
Nobody will know what it is, which is really cool.
Yeah. And nobody will admit they don't know what it is.
So no one will ever ask.
Exactly.
And it's C-level, so it's just
Yeah.
a C-level title. Oh, and
Uh-huh.
it's kind of like faith on those people that were trying to get me to adopt KEO as a title. I said I'll use KEO, but do not make me use OKEO. Unless you let me sell furniture on the side and get a really
Mhm.
big commission. That's funny.
I like CTHO.
CTHO. I will start using that, and I will report back on how long it takes for someone to ask or say anything.
Yeah,
That would be really cool.
I like
I
that.
like that. I like that.
we
I
might-
like
we
that
might
a
have to-
lot.
We might have to edit this part out if it's proprietary.
Well,
Yeah, well, we just won't know. I'll start a new trend. I think it'd be really good. No
well, and
choking
people
on
will
this
go, well, that's absolutely amazing. You're the CTHO,
one. Yeah,
and they'll have no clue what they're talking about.
yeah. Well, I got a new car a while back. This is not exactly related. And my other car had JDFD on the side in nice little script letters. But this car isn't the kind. It's an Audi, and I didn't want to put letters on or stickers on the car, so I got the little chrome letters, and I put
Mhm.
the little chrome letters on the back. And to this day, when I go into the Audi dealer, the
Mhm.
guy goes, "Oh, I remember your car because it's the only one of this model that I've ever seen." And it's like, I just laugh. It's just cool. Yeah, it's a special model, dual,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's kind of funny.
Yeah, and people have these huge egos where they will not admit
He
they
will
don't
not ask.
know.
Yeah. No, well, and it's a 2009, but it's only got 30,000 miles on it. So I go into the
Mhm.
Audi dealer and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's in such good shape." And so they don't ask questions because they don't know anything about the old models. They just assume it
Mhm.
is what it is. And
They can't find
That's
parts
it.
for it, though. That would be the problem.
yeah, for this model, when I'm looking it
Yeah,
up.
they're
Maybe that's
they're
why it takes them so long to do anything.
they're in
Oh,
their parts system and they go, oh my God, what do we
I can't
do?
find this model. Oh, that's great. I bet they, yeah, no, it is. It's hard. I love my car, but it is hard to find parts for it. And,
Mhm.
and thankfully, I've only had silly things wrong with it, like the roof motor. It's a convertible, and the motor stopped. And
Well, at
I had
least
to get the parts.
at least it's old enough that they won't turn it off on you. So like all the new cars, they have these features in there where someone can electronically turn your car off or things like that.
Yeah, I don't have that. I do have a feature in mine though. This was the first thing that was wrong with it. I think I had the car for a week. And I went to start it and it would start and die. It would start and die and start and die. And I went and I got another set of keys and it would start and die. start and die. And I am pulling my hair out. My neighbor is telling me to calm down. Gary's telling me to calm down. Called AAA, get it towed, the whole 9 yards. And apparently there's a feature in this car where if someone uses, you get 2 real keys with the car. And I think this happens in a lot of cars. I just didn't know. And then if someone makes an aftermarket key that's not coded for the car will start and die.
Oh,
Start and die. It's an anti-theft feature. And when
okay.
I bought the car, the guy gave me 3 sets of keys. I got one hidden away. I used one most of the time. And just by chance that day, I had grabbed the 3rd set of keys. And the car said, nope, I don't recognize you. You're not official. I'm not moving.
I don't know if that's a feature or a bug.
That was a feature apparently. But the good news was I just bought this car and I got it from Chicago, had it delivered. In bringing it to the Audi dealer for this really stupid problem or this really cool feature, however you want to look at it, they went through the entire car and couldn't find anything wrong with the car. So I got the full inspection and service checkout for nothing. So that was good. And then I had to drive the other keys back. They recycled all the keys and I still try not to use that 3rd set.
Yeah, because the car won't run, it'll start then die.
Well, I don't how, I'm sure the first guy synced all the keys. So what happened that it forgot?
Well, and it's like my wife just bought a Volkswagen ID4 and my
I hear
brain
those are
is
really
like,
cool.
oh, it is awesome. Awesome. I love the car. The one thing I don't like is they can update the software, over the,
Oh,
without
lovely.
plugging in, which means they can turn off features. I have had software updated and it broke things.
Yeah.
And we've all experienced this and my brain is like going, oh crap, we'll be halfway between here and there and it'll go in reverse or something. Yeah, whatever can go wrong, it will go wrong.
It will, and so it can't update while people are driving, right?
I hope not.
I hope there's those rules in there. I hope their testing is good. I hope, I mean, that for those of us that write code, I'm like, yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like
I
that
don't
at
like
all.
that auto feature.
Yeah,
It's just like auto pay. Yeah, I will
yeah,
auto give you, but I don't want you to auto pull.
right, exactly.
I'm protesting against iCloud. They want me to agree to the new terms and conditions for the past.
Are you
6
saying
months.
no?
And I'm saying maybe later. But the main thing is because like the iCloud, my phone hasn't backed up in over a year, and iCloud, I try to find out how to just delete the old backups and it won't let me. So I said, forget it. I'm not going to use it.
Yeah. Interesting you say that. Gary's I'm an Android. Gary is an iPhone person. So he said, well, you should know this. I'm like, nah, you're an iPhone person. I have no idea. But he just had to update an iCloud thing. And it was bugging his iCloud photos. Something went away. He had to agree to the new thing. And in order to do that, he hadn't had his phone plugged into automatically backup because we have those little pads that you put it on. So he was getting all kinds of warnings and he just hands it to me and says, fix it. I'm like, it's an iPhone. Click, 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 click. I think you're okay. But yeah, it's pesky and they count on us not reading all those agreements. They want us to just click, click, click. Okay, we're done. And since we all know Rob, we read them.
If it weren't for the fact that they just want me to buy space, right?
That's the main thing.
That's why they don't give me a way to delete the old stuff.
Exactly.
They just want me to buy space.
It's
Most
your
people
stuff.
do. Most people just buy it. Like, all right, it's only $5 a month, no big deal, but they add up.
Yeah. That's a lot of coffees at the end of the year. It really makes a difference, I think. But how interesting it is that when we started, say 30 years ago, and I'll say
Mhm.
30 years, that's being polite here. We wouldn't let anybody automatically charge anything $5
Oh,
a
God,
month or
no.
$50 a month. We wouldn't automatically give our credit card out to someone. Why?
Mhm.
Never, ever. And now we just rattle off the numbers. Here it is.
Mhm.
And it's an open door to our bank account.
Yep.
Or even talk
Yeah,
about these things. It's
yeah, I like
very,
the
very different.
push. I like the push. I will
Yeah,
push you my, let's just say my MasterCard
yeah,
automatically gets $100 a month. That way, if I have a massive brain fart, at least I've made the payment.
yeah, exactly. You made
Uh,
something. That's good.
I did something. I only one card I like to pull, and that's the American Express, because I can bring the American Express and just say, pay the balance.
Yeah.
But that's the only one I do that with.
I pay the balance, but I push.
Okay.
Yeah. On all I do, even my taxes, because they
Mhm.
want to pull your taxes automatically. So
I know.
they want that. Just set this up and we'll suck it right out of your bank account. I'm like, I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. You can send me lots of reminders and I'll make sure I get you your money on time, but I don't like that pull stuff.
No,
It's crazy. But
no,
who'd have
and
thunk?
Ace,
And
yeah, who would have thunk?
it's
I mean, I remember writing checks.
I still have checks.
Well, I'm also old enough to remember writing your social security number on a check.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember that. I don't
Yeah,
remember that.
you go to Safeway, you write a check for your food, and you would put your social security number on the check, because I never had it printed on my check.
Okay.
You're
Yeah,
into
because we used to
security.
have some and they would ask for your identification too.
Hmm.
Nobody cares now. My
No.
credit card on the back says ask for ID,
Hmm.
and once or twice a year somebody asks for ID. Crazy.
I think the
People
last
don't
time
check.
somebody, yeah, last time I think somebody asked me for the ID on a credit card, I was in Croatia and I had to show them my passport.
Hmm. That's nice that somebody asked though.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really cool. Speaking of Croatia, are you there this year?
I did not get my abstracts in on time, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think. I wish I
Yeah.
had. I really wish I had. This retirement issue blew my whole pattern. I'm trying to figure out what my new pattern is, but I've got my abstracts in for eco.
Oh, good. Yeah, and I'm waiting to hear from Eco.
Yep,
Mhm.
I have a few abstracts in there as well.
Yeah, I'm nervous because it's not a big Apex crowd, and
Mhm.
there's OAT. Well, there when it's there, but it's not a huge conference, right? And OATUG has some topics in there as well. So I don't know, but I'd like to go to that one, and it'll be
Well,
fun
you
going to
you
conference in December.
you want me to give oh, what's his name?
Melissa,
No, I'm talking
Is it-
about Croatia. Um,
Devore.
Davar. You want me to give Davar a call? He owes me.
Well, Croatia, I'm in. Croatia, I'm in.
Oh,
Definitely going
okay.
there. But East Coast is the one I'm
Okay.
nervous about.
Okay.
But we'll
So
know
yeah,
soon.
yeah. Since COVID, I dialed back the conferences. It's just,
Yeah,
it's I'm having a hard time getting back into the pattern that I was in.
it is hard. Um,
Mhm.
I did a lot because I figured if I'm conference chair for Kscope or
Mhm.
KEO for Kscope, then and I want people to come to my conference, I should go to their conference. And
Absolutely.
So that was kind of fun, but it really cuts into the billable hours. So now I can actually work. And it's so nice that the fisheries guys knew and said, oh, she's done K-scope. Here's this contract. Here's the next one. So that was good. And another thing that I'm hoping to do, and I just got an email about it yesterday, the day before. There used to be a Northeast Oracle user group that was very heavy in DBA stuff.
Okay.
And they'd get 80 to 90 people once every other month. It was really a fun group. And during COVID, that dropped off. There was also a big conference at Gillette Stadium, like a New England Oracle regional thing. And I just got contacted to have a meeting to have this Oracle Center of Excellence conference. And at Gillette Stadium, and that would combine all the New England Oracle user groups. So NOUG, there's a division of OATUG, there's a, so I don't know if they want ODTUG to have a branch in this, but there's another apps organization. I think OHUG was one, and then there's a higher ed one too. But anyhow, I was wondering if and when this conference would come back post COVID, and they've decided to try and get something together this year for that. So
can you send me the information on it?
I will. We're going to meet in the next few weeks just to find out, can we do it? When should we do it? What's it going to look like? But the whole concept is a conference for Oracle excellence, and security fits right in that. And just and we want to have fun with it. And Lyson Ludwig, if you know Lyson, he's the one that is spearheading this to get us all together. And so all the ideas are on the table right now.
Excellent.
I'd love to pull an Apex boot camp in there. It'd be neat to have a security boot camp in there.
Happy to help you.
That apply to anybody. And if you've ever been to a conference in a stadium like that, they're really cool because, Gillette is a newer stadium. All the boxes are presentation rooms, and really wired for presentations and things like this. So you might be in the Dunkin' Donuts box, you might be in the TD Bank box, they're all decorated with their company. It's pretty cool. It's a fun thing.
Definitely.
I will keep you posted on that. Yeah, we'll be meeting next week or the third week in August, and location and all that to be determined. But it should be a lot of fun.
Okay.
And, be neat if we can get it in this year. Before the end of the year, but to be determined. So,
all right.
Pretty excited about that. So,
well, we've only gone 41 minutes over. I think this is
okay.
not a record.
I'm having fun gabbing with you guys, though.
Yeah. We need to definitely come up in September. We'll go fishing and we'll figure out what we can do with this.
Well, I think this is definitely a business trip, because we can.
It is.
We can talk about, how to make this viable, how to make it simple, how to make it. Citizen scientist is a really big thing right now. So just being able to easily contribute data, and we have avenues for that data to go. Several of them, actually.
And the beauty of it is if we could get the vendors who already have the devices on board, the Garmins, the Magellan, the Simrads.
Yeah, it's good advertisement for them. And I can do some poking around and see what National Marine Fisheries does, see what the tuna people have done in the past when they have sensors on tuna, and so they would be more into some of that habitat information and where that goes and who owns that data. who's collecting it now. That'd be
Yeah,
kinda
who's
fun.
collecting it and who owns the data? And that's a big thing that needs to be addressed. Because I know a lot of watermen and go, if the government owns my data, I ain't giving damn
Yeah.
thing. But it's something we have to discuss.
That'd be cool. That'd be really
All
cool.
right. Roger, you got to come up on optimization too, and maybe you can catch a tuna or 3.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to think about that. I mean, the work here on the farm really is, when you were talking about the 100-hour a week, I probably don't spend quite 100-hour a week, but I had the 40-hour a week job plus probably, I would say, at least another 30, on farm.
Oh, wow.
work. Yeah, so it's
right.
busy. Right now, I have
It's a
after
good
this, I have to go out and do some chainsawing so I can move my pigs to a new pasture.
Oh, cool. That's great. Now, do you name your pigs?
We named the like the mother. We have 2 mothers and a father, so we named them, but we didn't name the babies.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner,
Yeah.
bacon.
Well, the one actually I gave him a name, Mr. Balzer, but that was the only one that I've named. That was the name of my high school geometry professor.
Oh my gosh. I take it not your favorite.
No,
Not
I
your
like
favorite subject.
geometry, but it just fit. I'll
Oh,
let you figure
gosh.
that one out.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my gosh. That's cool.
I
Well, I
I think,
appreciate you guys doing this.
yeah, and
Had a lot of
keep me
fun.
in the loop on the that conference, and we'll discuss September in a lot more detail. And
Oh,
Roger,
yeah.
you really got to get away. We got to
Yeah,
get you out on the boat.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
Oh no, we'll make it happen.
Okay.
Are you guys both at Cloud World?
I'm not.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I submitted only one abstract and it didn't get picked up. So
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and my whole pattern got cattywampus.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to get back in the groove.
All righty. Well,
All right.
we'll talk and we'll make this happen because September happens every year and tuna in September happens every year. And this data thing is really cool. And I like doing this kind of stuff. It's it's not official work, probably learn some stuff along the way, get to give back along the way. And it's that kind of stuff keeps me sane. Helps me
Amen.
stay a little balanced. And
mhm.
I can't just do blah work all the time. I don't have a farm, but I do have an ocean I can go play in, and I definitely need that.
I don't have an ocean, but I definitely have a bay.
And it's a good playground, except when they have those little
Yep.
stingy things.
Yeah. And there's
Hopefully not that.
there's a pair of Maui gems down at Bloody Point that I need to get back.
Oh, yeah, don't lose the Maui gems.
Yeah, well, there's one pair that was lost.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
you jump in and it's like, oh, where's my sunglasses?
oh.
Mm. Yeah,
Oh, good luck with those.
put those floaty things on them.
I started buying the floaty things.
Yeah.
All right.
Very good. Thank you once
Thank you,
again.
guys.
Yep.
Thank you
Thank
very, very
you.
much.
All right, and we'll keep in touch. All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. We'll make this fish thing happen.
All right. Y'all
We're
have
good.
fun. All
All
right.
right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.